Yeah, if you couldn't tell already, I really love this girl. Hello everyone, this is Meme. As you could tell, I may or may not have a bit of an obsession with Dandere girls. This is mostly because Dandere girls tend to be objectively better, but I won't say too much of that here. Here in today's video, I'll explain to you why the Dandere is the objectively best type of girl, how to tell between the two different types of Danderes, and why if you don't like Danderes, I will consider you a man of shit taste. Before we start, we should probably define Dandere. Dandere is comprised of two different Japanese words. Danmari, which means silent, and dere, which means love. Be sure to remember dere, by the way, because you're going to be hearing a ton of it in later videos. Anyhow, Danderes are just that. The shy, quiet type of anime girl. They sometimes have social anxiety and are otherwise very introverted. Not to be confused with the kudere, another introverted anime girl archetype. This time one that revolves around being very aloof and cold, but that's a topic for a later video. Danderes are the shy girls, and guys, dere types aren't actually gendered, of the anime world. So there's two, I guess for the lack of a better word, standard Dandere archetypes. Now obviously, yes, there are some that don't quite neatly fit into either category, but personally I'd argue that even then, most usually lean a bit more towards type A, though there are some non-archetypical Danderes that lean type B-ish. So with all that out of the way, our first type is... These wallflowers are, for the lack of a better word, shy. I guess you could call them the more conventional sort of Dandere. Now, sometimes these girls are portrayed as sexy and elegant even, giving off this nice One-san vibe, or other times they're portrayed as more vulnerable, giving this cute Kohai vibe. You get the idea. A lot of the times, a Dandere that is portrayed as a cute one tends to actually have more curves than the quote-unquote sexy but flat fiery girl. Or actually, I've seen it done twice. I don't know if that's just me going crazy and making connections that aren't there. They were also sisters both of the time, with the Dandere being the younger sister, so Anyhow, if you've ever seen a shoujo protagonist before, they're usually either this or a dere. Honestly, I freaking love this archetype. Everything about them screams, I need to protect this girl. Ah yes, the train wreck. Do I even need to say anything about them? They are utter, well, train wrecks. Now, I don't want to say that the former archetype is above being bullied or teased by the story for the heck of it. Far from it. But there's also a certain degree of elegance that can be applied to these girls, and with the type B, yeah, no. These girls are made to suffer. A lot. And we laugh at it. Now, this doesn't mean we have to be disrespectful to them. Bocchi the Rock was a way for many people with social anxiety to poke fun at themselves, all while enjoying a story that I think respects Goto as a person. And it's not like the train wreck can't be an elegant and sophisticated person, it's just that seeing them break down is kind of the part of that cute girl failure appeal. I did lie to you back there about Dandere shoujo protagonists being pure shrinking violets, by the way, because they also often have elements of the train wreck to them, just usually not to the same degree as these girls are typically portrayed. So with all that out of the way, Too Long Didn't Watch, Danderes can be grouped into two distinct types: the quiet and reserved shrinking violet, and the socially awkward yet endearing utter train wreck. Yes, you have Danderes that don't neatly fit into either archetype, but I think these two are the most commonly seen ones. Obviously, both types bring something special to the table, but what makes them so appealing? That's what I'm diving into next. There is a good reason that every anime archetype is popular as is. The kudere has this really intriguing deep air of mystery to her, as well as an almost too perfect air of elegance. The tsundere has a lot of potential for character development and a dynamic attitude. The dere is sweet and feels comfy and at home while having lots of wholesome energy to her. Now, the Dandere, I feel like, is such a strong archetype because it's a jack of all trades. Sure, the Dandere girl lacks the inherent coolness of the kudere, she lacks the dynamic and feisty attitude of the tsundere. She lacks the energy of the dere. But the Dandere is a jack of all trades that is able to cash into every archetype's power. She has a Kudere's reserved personality, which makes getting to know her extra sweet. She has the same deal as a tsundere, that's like learning what to crack open the shell. And she is as wholesome and sweet as the Dere, all of which combine to create a unique archetype where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Seriously, what's there not to like? Danderes are love, Danderes are life. Danderes can do anything. But seriously, holy shit, they're so cute. I love them so much. Honestly, I had trouble making the thumbnail for the video because I had way too many pictures and I didn't know which one to choose. Man, what cute girl do I put here to get everyone's opinion? This one looks cute. This one looks cute as well. This one is also cute, and there's only 3 slots. I had to put in my best girl, Miku, though. Sorry, she's kind of my ideal girl. Related to reason 2, strangely enough, despite seeming contradictory, is that air of mystery. Now, to be fair, this is much stronger with the Kudere than the Dandere, but there's just something about a shy girl that's so alluring. Now, I wasn't able to get this point off in the previous point because I was too busy simping, but remember, Danderes are girls that are meant for you to want to protect. See the shrinking violet and feel that you want to embrace her? That's how you know you succeeded at writing a Dandere. And yet, at the same time, they have this, I guess you could say, air of exclusivity to her. It's quite similar to the Kudere, as Kuderes are also known to have that exclusive gap moe moment where she opens up to you and shows you her more talkative side. The innocence of a Dere, the mystery of a Kudere, and the vulnerability of a... well, I guess this one's unique to a Dandere. These 3 elements give a Dandere depth. And speaking of depth, going back to what I said in Reason 1, Danderes have incredible growth potential. You remember what I said about the Dandere being the jack of all trades? Well, much like the tsundere or the Kudere, these girls have massive amounts of growth potential quite literally built into the trope. A shy girl learning to be confident and slowly emerge from her shell is heartwarming as fuck. It's just utter peak. There's also this gap moe of seeing a shy and meek girl turn into a badass to protect something or someone she loves. Honestly, I don't think there even is more I need to say on this one. Now, of all the reasons listed below, this is probably the one point that doesn't draw me into Danderes. Not saying that it repels me, more so that it just doesn't apply to me, and that's that a lot of people find Danderes relatable. Honestly, the types of girls I tend to find relatable tend to be a bit more on the Genki side, but let's be honest here, I'm seemingly in the minority, because a lot of the more non-casual anime fans tend to be introverts, with social anxiety at that. So, just by going about what I've heard about Nakano Mikunu, my personal favorite Dandere girl, though she is rivaled by Marianne von Edmund, many people have prefaced that a part of what drew them to her is that they found her relatable. Now, I did too, in that we're both massive history nuts, and let's be honest here, Miku is definitely a gamer, but I never found the social anxiety bit as relatable. But then again, once more, I'm in the minority here. You see a lot of people talk about Miku, or heck, I've also seen people talk about Goto Hitori from Bocchi the Rock as being literally you in some video essays. Well, first off, thank you for conferring the fact that I don't belong here. Definitely not salty about that. But again, it is true that, much like how I connected to Miku's love of history, some people connected to her personality. And well, if you're making a character that a lot of people relate to, I guess you succeeded as a writer, right? Danderes are, for the lack of a better word, versatile. You have the purity and innocence of a Dere as well as the mystery and an exclusive allure of a Kudere. You also cannot forget the inherent growth potential the archetype of the Dandere has, rivaled only by a tsundere. When writing a story, one cannot go wrong with a Dandere. A poorly written tsundere might be considered annoying and be hated, whereas a Dandere at least has the sense just not to get in the way. But let's not talk about poorly written Danderes. A well-written Dandere wields an incredible potential to be a wonderfully written character, and to many more introverted anime fans, this shyness can be relatable, further bridging the gap between character and viewer. In short, Danderes are an archetype to be reckoned with. Yet you're not buying this bullshit, are you? Honestly, I just think shy girls are really cute. That blush, that meekness, that reliance on you, and yes, that quiet resilience and courage. Even when I simp for the Dandere though, I just can't ignore what makes the Dandere archetype OP as hell in waifu wars. If she's developed well, Dandere in anime can dominate the popularity polls. It's for a reason we see so many Dandere girls being considered the best girls of their respective fan base. And that is that. If you aren't convinced that Dandere girls are objectively peak after all that, I'm sorry man, there is no hope for you. You have shit taste. Anyhow, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. As for my next video, I'm thinking about either making one about kuderes or doing something different and making a video about D&D fighters that I've been sitting on for a while. Anyways, please be sure to like this video and comment down below what you think of the Dandere. Please subscribe to this channel as well as my personal one, and I'll see you all later. This is Meme, signing off.